Hey everybody, welcome to Two Comic Book Dudes Dead Talk. We do this every Sunday night, right after Walking Dead. Of course, tonight it was right after Walking Dead, right after Into the Badlands, the new show on AMC, which we're going to have another show right after this one to talk about that show. So first off,
Yep.
I'm Aaron, editor-in-chief of Comic Booked.
Hey everybody, Justin, managing editor over at Comic Book.
And tonight's episode was for season 6, episode 6. Always Accountable was the title for The Walking Dead this week.
And it should have been titled like Daryl gets screwed over.
Yeah, pretty much. But we had Abraham and Sasha in there too. Nothing about the stuff going on in Alexandria. And spoiler alert, nothing about Glenn. So if you were expecting to see anything about Glenn, then just skip this episode, I guess. You shouldn't skip this episode. There was so much going on in this. At the very beginning, of course, we have the horde still moving along. Sasha and Abraham are in the station wagon-y car, and Daryl's on his bike, and they're moving the horde forward. They got to the 20-mile mark, so they burn on ahead and then cut off and drive right into an ambush. Now, it doesn't really seem to have been set up for them necessarily, but it's kind of like they came through, and here's these guys all of a sudden, oh, let's shoot these people. And, a couple of the cars crash, and, kind of everybody gets separated. Daryl takes off, and some guys chase him, and he ends up getting away from them. But they seem to be looking for somebody other than Daryl and Abraham and Sasha, and we find out who as we go through the episode. So that first part was pretty interesting, and I thought the whole interaction with Sasha and Abraham, I mean, Abraham wanted to go back and make sure those guys were dead and that they got holes punched in their heads, and she stopped him, which I thought was kind of weird. When they go to the town then, and they're kind of waiting for Daryl, he's going to go kill that walker, and she's like, no, we don't need to leave breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of...
Even though she wrote Dixon on the door.
Right, I know. Of course, if they don't know his name, I mean, no, the wolves don't know his name, or if it's the wolves.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, no, I got you.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought that was kind of funny, but that's the thing. We don't know. We're pretty sure that these are the wolves that are out looking for them because, anyway, we'll talk about that as we go. Daryl's bike dies on him, I guess, and he's just kind of pushing it along.
Daryl's messed up. Like, he had fallen off the bike already, so he got ambushed. Like, he went down.
He scraped himself all up really bad on his arm, so his arm was
he's hurting at this point. He's like pushing his bike through the woods, trying to be quiet, and still basically probably has a concussion. Also, not wearing a helmet or anything.
Yeah, and if not from that, then definitely from them clubbing him over the head, knocking him out.
Yeah,
when he comes upon these people, and there's two girls, and he's like, "What?" And they're like, "You got us, you got us," and then all of a sudden he turns around, and gets whacked in the face, and knocked out by some guy. So as he fades in and out of consciousness, he hears them talking, and they said one thing they said was, "He's not a soldier from one of the outposts." So that was interesting, because are they talking about the wolves, or are they talking about another group of actual soldiers? Like, are there two different groups here that they're talking about? So I don't know. But they definitely think he's a wolf, and they don't want to go back to wherever they were. So they've got him tied up and taking all his stuff and everything. There's two girls and a guy. We don't really, I didn't really get names other than Tina. Yeah, Tina was the one girl. Of course, we learned her name, and then she dies. So that was, oh, okay. No need to learn her name.
You saw it before she died. You knew she was going to die.
Yeah,
like it was so set up for her to die.
Yep.
I was like, "You're dumb. You're dumb. Don't do it. Don't do it."
And we will warn you. I guess I didn't really say that. I just kind of said it jokingly, but we are going to spoil this episode. So if you don't want to know what happened, then don't watch anymore. Wait till you've watched it and then watch it. That's all I can tell you. So anyway, the one thing I thought that was interesting when they were talking to him, they said, everyone has a code. You feel you have to kneel. We don't. To Daryl. Well, Daryl knows that he's not a wolf, and he doesn't kneel to anybody, not even Rick, really. So he does end up, getting the better of them, getting the drop on them, taking the gun, taking the duffel bag, leaving them kind of where they are, and taking off. And of course, he looks in the bag and he sees a cooler full of insulin.
Yeah.
So it's like, great, I took medicine from these people. So he knows, he's a good guy. He's going to take it back and do the right thing, which is the wrong thing, but still. It's still the carryover of being a human, being, having grown up in a community and dealing with people, treating people the way you want to be treated,
Right.
hoping for the best out of people, and usually getting screwed over. Which I thought, well, that's real life, But anyway, we go back and forth between Sasha and Abraham and Daryl in this episode pretty regularly, but.
Yeah, and hey, Abraham finds some rocket launchers.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
There's some grenade launchers. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, he finds the rockets, and then he finds the actual launcher on the back of a walker.
Yeah,
hanging out over off of this bridge overpass thing.
Yeah. And the walker finally rips himself apart over that. He's in.
Yeah.
So he finally falls, and magically the actual
the RPG is left. Yeah, that was funny. Well, it was interesting because Sasha has kind of just been berating him for not really being all there, not being good, not being all in his right mind. And he's like, well, if I wasn't in my right mind, I wouldn't be here, and this wouldn't be happening the way it is. And she's like, I don't think so. I think that you've got some issues to deal with, and he just is like, whatever, go to sleep.
Yeah.
And then he's like looking out the window. He goes, oh, and he takes off, and he leaves her in the building. They found an insurance agency, and they're hiding out there with a walker right behind some glass doors, which I thought was kind of interesting. Like they needed the walker there, just that little bit of risk to keep them on their toes. So I don't know. There's just a lot there between the two of them. But the whole thing is he goes out and he actually, he finds 3 of the rockets, and then he finds a box of cigars, and it's like, this right here should be good enough. But then he's like, oh, look, there's another one. And the launcher, he needs the launcher. So he climbs out there, and he's like wrestling this walker that's impaled on this spike, and the walker's trying to eat him, and he's just like, and he's roaring at the thing.
Right.
And
he finally gets it out.
Well, yeah, but he kind of comes to that realization that, whoa, I've got some problems,
Yeah.
and you can see it on his face. He's like, yeah, I have a death wish.
I need to smoke a cigar and chill out.
Right. He just kind of backs off, and he tears his shirt open. He goes over and lights a cigar up, and he just kind of sits there and watches. And one note I wrote was, good things come to those who wait.
Right.
Then he rips off, and then the RPG's hanging there, and he's like, oh, right, But, yeah, that's the whole interaction there between him and Sasha was very interesting, especially since I kind of thought him and Rosita were a thing. But it feels like by the end of this episode, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see what happens when they get back. If they get back,
Yeah. Well, I think, some of the things that he said, because he tells Sasha, from what I've seen of you, I want to get to know you better.
All right.
And then she said, you've got some things you need to deal with first. So it's like, does she mean you need to deal with the Rosita thing first? And then, you can deal with her? Or is this just like becoming better friends and understanding each other a little better? Or what exactly, so I don't know exactly what's going on there.
Maybe the Rosita thing, and also maybe the stop being crazy.
Yeah. I definitely think there's that. But I just wondered if there was some kind of, romantic overtones here in this, as these two people with death wishes are both kind of like, I want to get to know you better. What does that mean?
No. It definitely seems like budding romance. Definitely. Yeah. It's going that way.
It's just kind of weird because I thought, Abraham and Rosita were a thing. But maybe it's only if Eugene's watching. Anyway. Oh, poor Eugene. Yep. So hopefully he'll come around to his place in the world someday. So back to Daryl. They have this burned out place in the woods. And I just called it the burn. It's like this charred place. And these people that Daryl's with started this fire. They did this, and they come upon this little looks like a greenhouse.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I thought when I saw it.
Yeah, it's burned out greenhouse.
Yeah, and there's two people in there, and they seem to be encased in plastic or glass. Must be glass. Greenhouse would melted the glass onto them, and then they're covered in glass. It's kind of a cool scene. And Tina's like, "Oh, these are the two people that, we left, and we thought they got away, and they really died here. And oh, booty hoo!" And then she trips and falls, breaks the glass, and they eat her.
Yep.
So
She's
Daryl, Daryl stabs him in the head. It's like, okay, as is typical with this show, as soon as you learn somebody's name and get to know a little bit of their backstory, they're going to get eaten unless they're a main character. So
if you start to care about somebody new, they're gone.
Yep.
That's sad. Dead.
Yep. She was kind of frail. She was kind of like, oh, Daryl's helping her. All right, this could be good. He's going to help these people out, and then she dies. So then they turn around and screw him, and as soon as they get to his bike, he's like, okay, I'm going to help you guys. I got this. Oh, he starts asking him Rick's questions, which I thought that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, how many walkers have you killed? How many people have you killed, and why? Those are Rick's 3 questions to see whether anybody was worthy of joining their group.
Right.
And so the guy says, probably a dozen walkers, no humans, no living people. And he says, why? He says, because if I do, I'll never come back. You can't come back from that. And that's something that Rick and them have dealt with in the past is, can you come back from that? Can we ever go back to the way things were? And Rick's definitely resigned himself to knowing that that's not going to happen. You can't go back to the way things were before. It's a new world. Things have changed. And Daryl, I think, understands that too. But yeah, it was interesting. So then they pull a gun on him, and that's it. Take his bike and leave him there.
Yep.
So then he sees the.
What do they give him? They give him like money?
No, 2 little bandages because they said patch yourself up.
Oh.
They threw him a couple bandages, and he just stuffs them in his pocket and goes. And he had seen this walker, this dead body walker, in burned to the ground with a helmet on.
Right.
And and he just left it there, but there was a sign, and he moved the sign, and then he walked over towards this brush, and he spreads this brush, and there's this tanker truck, fuel truck, which is pretty cool. So, the big find from this episode is a fuel truck. He drives in, picks up Abraham and Sasha. They get a fuel truck. They get RPGs and cigars. And hey, it's a successful.
And Abraham gets the military dress suit.
That's right. The suit there, the uniform. That was awesome. I did notice that when he put it on, he took off all the decoration.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool, and that was his military mind going, I didn't earn that. I can't wear that.
I don't get to wear that.
Yeah, pretty interesting though. But did you notice the last thing as they're driving back towards Alexandria? They're trying to call on the radio, and all they hear is one word:
help.
And it sounds like Rick.
It does sound like Rick.
Yeah. So don't know what's going on there. So something to think about. We'll see what happens next episode. It looks like next episode's back in Alexandria. Everything's kind of moving along in town. So we don't really know how much time. I don't know how to sync up some of the episodes.
I'm wondering if they heard him when he said help, if that was when 2 episodes ago when he was in the RV and getting overrun in the RV because he was doing that with his hand and everything.
Yep.
So timeline wise, I know we're jumping around and they're still 20 miles away in that.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's interesting to sync up all the episodes because we know that everything else is kind of converged back in, except for
these are our 2 loose ends, basically.
Right, other than Glenn and Nicholas.
Right.
Because they diverged from Michonne and Heath and whatever that other guy's name is, Paul or something.
Yeah,
I think that was him. So they diverged from the 2 of them. You got Nicholas and Glenn that were on and under and around and through the dumpster, and then you got Daryl and everybody. But so we're all coming back together. We just don't know what's going to happen with Glenn and all that yet. So still the one big loose end. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all wraps up. So far, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying. All in all, this is a pretty solid issue of moving the story along, like you were saying.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought it pushed. It brought some things back together. It allowed us to deal with some issues that we know have kind of been hanging out there. especially with Abraham. I mean, we've seen Abraham, be at the top of his game and then at the bottom of everything, and he's done. He's ready to just off himself again. And then he kind of felt like a resurrection there when he was allowed to kind of take charge of the construction and help protect that and move that forward. He really felt like he had another lease on life, which was cool.
Yeah.
A mission again, because that's what he needs. He needs a mission. And then he jumped in with Sasha, partly to help her because he felt like she was, in Death Wish City, but also because he needed the constant. What did he say? There was a thing here, one of my notes. So they're talking about, when you're in the walls, it's quiet, and at that point, you have to be accountable for all the things that you've done. You have to be accountable to those people in the walls. So if you're out here and everything's going, and they said without walkers and bullets and stuff hitting the fan, that's what you need. Otherwise, you're accountable. You're always accountable. And that was where the title of the episode comes from. And, it's true. I mean, as long as they can keep moving and doing and surviving and taking out walkers, then they don't have to worry about being accountable to other people. They can just be accountable to each other.
Right.
And that's kind of what they needed right now, was just that accountability. So, I don't know. Good episode. We'll see what happens next week. We saw some of the previews for next week's episode, and it was all stuff in the city. Rick looked all clean and shaven and all that stuff. And
I missed that whole preview. I don't know.
Did you really?
I was sitting there the whole time.
Yeah, it was right before you were like expecting Into the Badlands. Like, come on, Into the Badlands. Let's get started. I don't know. But yeah, it was more political kind of stuff. I mean, I rewatched the end of last week's episode. I know we talked about the blood on the gate.
Oh yeah, I did see him touch that. Okay.
So
see what it is.
Yeah, going back and looked at that, and I saw, it looks like it's leaking through the gate or through the fence. It doesn't look like it's coming down from above like we thought maybe it was before. So I don't know. There's still a lot of questions there. Like, why was that a focus? So we welcome anybody's comments to, speculate on what that is, what they think that is. Maybe it's not important. Maybe it's just the whole, hey, there's lots of walkers out there and they're squishing up against it and they're getting all bloody.
I was thinking maybe, but I mean,
could be.
I guess they could build up and cause an issue. But.
Yeah, so it's hard to tell what's going on there. Maybe the blood will soak through and loosen the nails and the bolts and the whole, I don't know, the corrosive zombie blood.
Yes, it will. Over time.
Yes.
Long time.
20 years later, as the walls fall down. So, episode 20 of season 104.
Right. The wall fall.
Right. Man, I saw that coming back in season 6.
Man, you remember? Go back and watch that episode of our show. Oh, yeah.
I can't even see The Walking Dead anymore. Get off my lawn.
Well, at that point, they just pump it straight into your brain.
That's right. Well, we can't even talk about it, It'll be we'll just be able to think it, and you guys will all be able to go, oh, that was really cool.
Done.
Anyway, all right. Well, please like, share, subscribe. We appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this. We hope that there was some insights about this episode. If we said something you don't agree with, please leave us a comment.
One thing we didn't touch on was the wolves. And we learned a little bit more about the wolves.
Oh, yeah. And Wade.
Yeah. And just how, I guess their society or system kind of works.
Yeah. They definitely take people in, give them, it's a give and take. You give us something, we give you something.
Right. You get security, but we want everything.
Right. It's like a company store.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a union place, yeah.
Right. Give us your soul.
Right.
We might let you live.
Maybe. And you'll have it's like the hospital, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Remember the hospital in season 4? Yeah. It's just like that. So, it's the same kind of thing. People, what was it, season 4, season 5? It was both, wasn't it?
Maybe.
Yeah, when Beth died was season 5. So, it's kind of like that. You work off your debt, but how do you work off a debt when it continues to accumulate? Especially like this, you're all in. You get protection from them. They take you and they clothe you, they feed you, they own you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why people are branded with the W on their forehead, because they are owned. And it's a bad situation. So you got people trying to get away, and hopefully that'll play towards whatever the big battle is between the Wolves and Alexandriites here someday. We'll see. I don't believe we had 10 comments last week on our episode.
So, I can check real fast.
We still have this Walking Dead poster book, which nobody seems to want to win. I don't understand. This is free. Like, I will send it to you. I will pay the cost of shipping this book to you. It's 40 posters based on the hit TV series. It's several of these pictures. You can see Daryl with the bloody ears. There's Merle with his stumpy metal hand. Zombie Shane. Or Walker Shane, sorry. There's Officer Friendly there in the middle. You got the Well Walker over here, gross as can be. Michonne and Walker number 5 there on the other side. I don't know whoever that is. Walker somebody. Mm-hmm. So, that's just a small collection of the 40 posters that are in here. This is retail price $24.99. So, definitely leave us a comment. If we get 10 comments on this episode, we will give this away. What we may end up having to do is go back and count up the last 4 or 5 episodes and see if we have 10 cumulative comments on those episodes, and we will give this away. As long as you're in the continental United States, please leave us a comment. And leave us a comment if you're not, but just let us know, kind of like what state or country you live in. And all the U.S. Residents, we will pull out into a drawing, and we'll pick one of you and ship it out to you. How many did we have last week?
2. Not enough.
Okay. All right. Well, we're getting there. So all we need is 10. Okay. 10.
Plenty of views. Getting plenty of views on it. So just leave a comment.
Drop a comment. Even if it just says, I love Rick, or go Team Daryl or whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter.
We did get a good comment last week. Let me bring that up real quick, just so we can do that before we end. So we'll do that. If there's a good comment on the week before, then we'll mention it on the show.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate you guys, your input, and the fact that you even take your time to watch this. I mean, we know sometimes these end up being as long as the episode. So,
all right. Well, we had Matt made a comment, and I think you replied to him talking about we probably won't touch on Glenn until after the mid-season break.
Yeah,
probably true. Probably true. And we also had Steve make a comment saying that Nicholas's death could have been an hallucination. If you go back and watch it, he runs out of ammo before they get to the dumpster.
Interesting. That's interesting.
Could be, an error.
Could be. I mean, he could have reloaded, and who knows? Because they didn't really have time to reload while they were sitting there shooting into the crowd, and then they climb up on there, and he goes, "Thank you," boom.
Right.
So it's hard to tell. There were definitely brains splattered all over Glenn. They came from somewhere.
Well, I'm just saying it could be like a complete and utter hallucination. So they we could go back to it, and they're both still like standing on top of the dumpster, and they've been standing there for like a week or something.
Yeah. It's hard to tell. So yeah, it's possibility. Anything's possible. I don't know. So we probably won't see anything. We got 2 more episodes before the mid-season break. And then we won't see another episode, I think, till February. So I don't know. We hope for some information about Glenn, but it doesn't look too promising. So we know for sure next episode is back in Alexandria, everybody dealing with their everyday crap. But we don't know what the last episode of the season finale or the mid-season finale will be. It's always, a big shocker, a big like, really? I mean, last time Beth died. So who knows what'll happen this time.
Yep.
So we'll see. No, last time we thought Beth died, but everybody tried to say she wasn't dead, and then we came back and she was dead. So, yeah. All right. So this was season 6, episode 6, Always Accountable. of The Walking Dead
Yep.
on AMC, and we do appreciate you taking the time to watch us. We're Two Comic Book Dudes. You can find us on comicbook.com, Comic Book on Facebook, and Two Comic Book Dudes on Facebook. Leave us a message or comment or anything there. If you see our video posted on any of those Facebook pages, please like, share, comment, and like, share, subscribe here on YouTube. We really appreciate it. Okay, and stay tuned. There will be another video for Into the Badlands coming up. And then this week, hopefully, we'll have a couple episodes of Ash versus Evil Dead on the same Two Comic Book Dudes Dead Talk.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. See you later.